I guess, Ryan, I'll start. Hello, everybody. My name is Will. I'm an international enrollment counselor at Maryville College here in Tennessee. And I'm with Ryan Harper, who is...
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Harper. I'm an assistant director of admission at Dickinson College, which is located in central Pennsylvania over on the East Coast, sort of up towards the Northeast.
And today we're going to talk about liberal arts education in the United States, kind of what that means, what that is, how it's different from other kinds of universities and educational systems, and just all the benefits of having a liberal arts degree. So we'll get started. All right, so maybe the first things, just a little question, just to see where we stand at the moment. What are some things that you've heard about liberal arts colleges? What are maybe some stereotypes? What comes to mind? And you can say it out loud or type it in the chat box.
Is there a type of subject or maybe an area of study that you might associate with the liberal arts, perhaps? Or just anything that you may or may not know about liberal arts colleges?
And we can always ask the next question as well, Ryan. That's no worries.
No worries.
So how about this one? Kind of a true or false, right? 50-50. Liberal arts colleges are only for people wanting to study painting, or let's say some kind of art. Is that true or false? Yeah, lots of falses, okay. Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah, indeed, that is correct. And I think just jumping up a little past that, the liberal arts education, liberal arts college is a type of education, as it says here, where curriculum is designed to promote learning across multiple disciplines. So really, we want you to look at a ton of different things. It's not just about what the exact thing that you want to learn. So we want you to get a depth of knowledge about biology or political science or English or whatever you really want to learn. But we also want you to think about ideas and ways of thinking that are not necessarily within that discipline. So we want you to take biology, English, political science, all of those classes throughout your time.
Yeah, and then just to further that, that was a good kind of just basic definition. This one's a little bit more specific to the characteristics of a liberal arts college. And just to touch this off, one commonality between all liberal arts colleges is the small campus and class size. Ryan, I'm not sure about Dickinson College, but we're about 1,200 students. I feel like that's kind of the ballpark, 1,200 to 1,500 students. So you are at a college, a campus where you know people, where everything is personal, it's intimate, and that has a long, that goes a long way whenever you are trying to learn about things, meet people, make connections.
And I think jumping off of that, Will, part of the great thing about a liberal arts college, and that being so Dickinson is about 2,000 students, so a little bit bigger than Maryville. But the big thing is also really sort of having a small campus and small class sizes allows you to have a really close community. So really a community that's really focused on learning, but focused on learning together and being connected to their faculty as well. Something about small class sizes means you have a low student to faculty ratio. So really looking at building relationships with professors, actually being in, whether you're doing research, just learning with them, getting a lot of assistance in the way that you want to study and to really learn more in the way that you want to learn, and being facilitated really by those experts in their field.
Yeah, very well said. And also kind of moving on, experiential learning. This is something that most liberal arts colleges really emphasize. We kind of want to pair the academic learning with the real world learning, right? So at least here at Maryville, Ryan, you can tell us about Dickinson, but starting almost right away, you'll be doing some kind of internship volunteering experience, work experience, some work placement, to really match and marry those two, studying in the classroom and studying outside the classroom.
And I think experiential learning can look at a number of different things, and it depends what you want to study. So for instance, if you're looking at business, that might mean going into an internship or really going out and working within companies or consulting firms or things that you're looking at. But if you're interested in sort of that biology, chemistry, neuroscience, those types of things, that could be more on the research side of things. But also research does not have to be science related. We have lots of students doing history research, political science research, English research even. So looking at sort of things in a lot of ways, which I think also connects really well to that critical thinking and the problem solving and that adaptability of looking at things from a ton of different perspectives. But yeah, like Will said, I think really making sure that you're not only thinking about what you're learning and getting sort of that theoretical background, but actually going out there and getting the skills to utilize it in the real world.
Yeah, very well said. And moving on to the connection to faculty, we've touched on this, but this is really important. And I think this is something that both Maryville and Dickinson and many other liberal arts colleges can really be proud of. That, you know, you go to a class at a liberal arts college, you're not just a name on a roster or a student ID number. You are you, and your professor knows you, your colleagues, the other students know you, and everybody knows, you know, your personality, your character, what you're good at, what you need to work better on. And that goes a long way with really getting a true education. And I know Dickinson, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about 8-to-1, right? 8 students per one faculty. That is incredible. We're 10-to-1, which is also fantastic. But again, you're really getting all kinds of resources, connections with a small class size.
Yeah, and I think when you're thinking about that in those class sizes where you have that one or that 8-on-1, 10-on-1, really small class, you're really getting to dive in deep and learn about what you want to learn about, and you're engaging with that material. You're not just being lectured to, which I think really connects well to that next point of the focus on the undergraduate education. In these scenarios, you're the focus of these professors. They might be doing research or they might be doing things, but they don't have grad assistants. They have you. You're that undergraduate student helping them out in the science lab, in sort of the archives, or just wherever they're doing things. They want your help looking at things. But they came to a liberal arts college to teach and to really focus on you and your learning, and have those small places where they get to engage with you and what you're thinking.
Very well said. And moving on to that middle one, to value critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability. This is key for liberal arts colleges. And to kind of, you know, piggyback on what we've already said, you're not just learning subjects like biology or geometry or political science, but you're really trying to, you know, analyze it in a critical perspective, a critical way, and pose questions and ask why and how, and really get to the bottom of, you know, all of these subjects and kind of what they stand for and how they are taught. And to further this, it's not just learning those subjects, because you can learn, you know, as much as you want about political science, but if you can't do kind of the reality studies of that, the giving speeches, the making presentations, the how to you know, speak publicly, how to debate, you're not going to go very far in the real world. And so this is also part of a liberal arts degree education, getting the granular, the practical part of that. And we'll put that with the problem solving and adaptability.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic point, Will. And then jumping to that last point there, and just in terms of the collegial cohesive community, I think really ties back to the beginning as well, is when you have a small campus and class sizes, it's about really students get involved in the place that they're in. So they're really looking to make an impact on the communities that they're there. Our students really care about each other. They're really active in terms of not only in the classroom, but outside of it too. Often you're going to find lots of clubs and organizations. The sort of fun you have is based on sort of the activities that you're a part of, whether that's sports or political organizations or music groups or theater or whatever you're really interested in. There tends to be a lot of people who really are passionate about being involved in their community and fostering an environment where your friends are involved in a lot of cool things as well, and making sure that it's a comfortable place where you can both thrive academically and as a person. It's really about that personal growth as much as anything.
Very well said. And just Ryan, you and I both work on campus, of course. It's amazing to see the energy of having these social groups, these activities going on. It really fosters an amazing environment. So this is really unique to liberal arts colleges and campuses. Okay, and so here we have kind of a painting from the 1600s. This is going back into the history of liberal arts and kind of how we get the name, what the education was originally. And just if you can see this painting, you have philosophy at the front, personified, presenting the 7 liberal arts to Boethius, who was a Roman senator. And just by judging, you kind of have a clue of these items that they're holding or what they're affiliated with. Does anybody want to take a stab, take a guess at what the 7 liberal arts originally were? Again, you have some they give you some ideas with what's being held or presented. And if not, it's okay. We have the answers as well. So yeah, so here's the 7 traditional liberal arts: grammar, rhetoric, logic, music, geometry, arithmetic, and astronomy. And of course, we have modernized, right? Things have strayed away from this, but you can still take these courses, right? It still kind of makes up the fundamental, person who is going to do good on the largest scale, right? That was the idea. You needed to have somebody who kind of mastered these categories, these subjects, to then be a well-presented public figure, public speaker, public leader. And so you don't have to take these courses anymore, but they are still kind of the granular, holistic idea, representation of what a liberal arts college originally was and still is in some regard.
Yeah, and I think just jumping off of that, if you really look there, there's some cool, I think, things there. There's geometry, you have your math there, you have astronomy, you're really looking at the stars, physics, and things like that. But you also have music and sort of thinking on the artistic side of things. So painting, as we said earlier, it may not be the only art, but it's a part of the liberal arts as well. But that logical side of things, the rhetoric, the grammar, looking at all areas of sort of the way that you think and the way that you construct things in your mind. So yeah, nice little thought there. But I think this is a nice way, I think, to think about how this can sort of put you into the future and sort of looking at how does a liberal arts education get you to a successful career path. We're looking at that broad education, as we've talked about, where you're really looking at things across things. So whether you're looking at math and you're looking at sort of logic or English and political science, humanities, social science, hard science, you're getting a sort of broad idea of a lot of things, but it does allow you to find out what you really like to do and to get really specialized into those areas. So, and finding, I think you hear a lot of, a word you hear in the liberal arts a lot is something called is interdisciplinary. And so that's sort of finding the path in between 2 areas. So what is the connection between biology and psychology, or computer science and English? Finding the areas where all of these things can come together, but also finding an area that you specialize together. So you'll often find students in the liberal arts are majoring in 2 very different areas, but able to combine their 2 interests into something really interesting and something really special. But you are really versatile in the way that you can approach a career. So you can do a lot with a liberal arts degree. And you'll see later, I have a slide on some sort of examples of some Dickinson students and where they've gone and sort of what they've looked at doing. But you really have the ability to sort of think actively in terms, your skills will apply to a ton of different careers. I don't know, Will, what are your thoughts here?
I would absolutely agree with that, Ryan. And I think a great way to put it is that at a liberal arts college, you get to study everything so that you're ready for anything. And that's kind of, maybe a motto of a liberal arts college, that it is a holistic education. It's that broad education. You get a little dose of everything, and you still get to specialize and focus on, what you're passionate about, what you're really interested in pursuing post-graduation. But having those kind of, the educational classes, the basic classes, really enhances your education towards that job market whenever you're ready for, to find a job, to start a career. So it really is the best of both worlds. And just as I was mentioning, kind of the structure of liberal arts education, comprehensive, holistic, that's a kind of a key word that pops up a lot for liberal arts colleges. All around, right? That's what that means. You get an all around education. You study all kinds of different courses, flexible choices, cool courses. Ryan Dickinson has awesome, unique courses. You can take classes on all kinds of, really all kinds of things, literally. Major courses, we'll get into this in the next slide, but it's about 30% or more of your courses kind of are your major, right? And so then you kind of have a large portion of learning different things that are necessary, things that you're still interested in, but maybe don't want to, pursue as a career. But it is about 30%, about 1/3 almost of those courses are your major, and then the practical experience. And that allows connection between disciplines and gets you that foot in the door towards a career. And this is extremely important, especially here, I feel like, Ryan, in America, where you apply to a job and you need that 2 years minimum experience, right? Well, I've been a student my whole life, so how can I get that? With a liberal arts college, you get that, right? Because that is in the curriculum. That is your interdisciplinary, workflow. And so you kind of get to jump ahead of people who are just graduating because you have 2 years experience. You might have 3 years of experience somehow. So it's a benefit for sure.
Yeah, and just jumping back, I think something cool is this emphasis on flexible choices. So for instance, in a lot of liberal arts curriculums, you're going to have requirements. So that might be a lab science requirement, or it might be, so for instance, at Dickinson, we have a sustainability requirement. We're very passionate about looking at sustainability and carbon neutral. We're carbon neutral as an institution, but so for your sustainability requirement in the curriculum, you can take Introduction to Environmental Science, which makes a lot of sense, but you can also take Spanish 2. That counts for the sustainability requirement because there's a focus there. Arts and sustainability. So it's an arts class looking at utilizing sustainable materials. And also the politics of sustainability, sort of environmental politics in Eastern Asia. So specifically looking at from a law perspective, what sort of sustainability initiatives there are in East Asia and how they're legislating it. So there's a ton of different ways to satisfy one requirement. In fact, 35 of our majors have classes that you can satisfy the sustainability requirement in. So you can really you can create a curriculum that fits what you're interested in. And I think that's really the case at a lot of liberal arts colleges, is the ability to create a curriculum that appeals to you and sort of makes sense for what you're interested in.
Well said. Yeah, there's many choices within one choice, essentially. So that's pretty awesome. Here we have the curriculum cake. This is kind of a nice metaphor to look at how a liberal arts college is structured. So you have your gen ed, kind of your liberal arts curriculum, usually about 51 credit hours. And just as kind of a number to remember, 120 is kind of the magic number in American colleges, liberal arts, 120 credit hours to graduate. So again, you're taking about a third or a little over a third for your gen eds. Then you have your major, as we mentioned earlier, right? What you actually are really passionate about, what you want to focus on, maybe what your thesis or your capstone project may be under. And then you have kind of your minor, right? Also something that you're interested in, maybe something that's more of a hobby or something that you want to pursue on the side. This is a great way to kind of focus on that. And then you kind of have your experiential education, right? So again, going back to research, to the practical part, jobs, internships, volunteering, social clubs, organizations, all this stuff that gets you really out in the real world. And then you have
the toppings. So
the topics.
The nice thing about a liberal arts education is I think there's a really emphasis, as we said, on community. So obviously getting that experience within the classroom, but also looking at what are you doing outside of it and how does that sort of build upon your interests or upon other things that you're a part of. So you might be extremely passionate about biology and interested in going into medical school or something, but also you're incredible in music or are really passionate about politics. We really want all of that will inform your experience. And we want you to sort of be passionate about a lot of things. And we really want you to be an involved member of our communities.
All right, so kind of looking at, the specifics, liberal arts colleges physically, right? So where are they located? Here's a nice map that kind of outlines liberal arts colleges, where they are in America. You can kind of see the trend, right? Kind of in the Northeast. And this is partly because of the history, right? A lot of the liberal arts curriculum comes from Oxford and Cambridge. So you kind of trace the route across the pond, as we say. So you have a lot that are in New York, that are in Pennsylvania, where Ryan is based, kind of that area, and then kind of trickles out from there. And then, of course, a lot in California, just because it's California. So.
But I think also with that, you can really find a lot of different places to find a liberal arts college. So if you're looking to go to school in a specific part of the United States and a liberal arts curriculum appeals to you, you can generally find a place somewhere that might be a better fit for you. But definitely take a look at a lot of the different locations, because I think it is important to sort of get a wide breadth of, there's a ton of variety. There's a lot of similarities in terms of liberal arts colleges and what we're passionate about, but each one has their sort of things that they might be specialized in or might be interested in, or location things there that are special. And so some examples of what might be what some liberal arts colleges can look like. Pomona, this is over in California. Right across the other coast up in the Northeast, this is Amherst in Massachusetts. Colby College, which would be sort of near Amherst, but up in the northeastern part of the US in Maine.
And here's Maryville College, where I'm currently at. I'm actually in this building that you see on there right now. And we look right into the Smoky Mountains. So that's the mountains in the background. Very beautiful, of course. And the dorm rooms, if you're a student here, you wake up and have that view. So it's not a bad place to wake up in the morning.
And of course, this is my institution of Dickinson College over in Pennsylvania, which I am home and not on campus currently. But yeah, it's a lovely campus. And I think you can see there, the sky is very pretty. And I think our sunsets are quite lovely. One of the underrated parts of central Pennsylvania. But yeah, it's a lovely part of the world.
And Ryan, just to piggyback really quickly on this, this is also part of the beautiful aspect of looking at liberal arts colleges, is that you're not going to find, a non-fantastically, well manicured, beautiful campus. They're also gorgeous. There's always history to these colleges. Ryan, yours is one of the oldest colleges in America. So, I mean, you have really just, it's fun to search and kind of go through these and say, wow, this is, I could spend 4 years here and it would not be a bad place to be. So,
yeah, I absolutely agree. I went to college in Virginia, a liberal arts college in Virginia, which I saw there was an event for, but liberal arts colleges really do have this awesome sense of history, traditions. I think that's a big thing as well. You'll hear at a lot of liberal arts colleges is really the place is very important and is often just a really fantastic part of who they are. And each one has their own character and their own wonderful parts to them. And they're interesting traditions. If you're interested in specific, like traditional parts of each campus, there's a lot of great aspects of that. But moving on, yeah, that might be your reaction to someone there. And I think as well, really stepping on campus for the first time can be an incredible experience on that day. It's actually our move-in day tomorrow, so I'm excited to have some of our international students step on campus tomorrow and see it for the first time.
I feel like that's us every day, Ryan. We're still always amazed at how beautiful these campuses are.
Yeah.
Here we have a list of some alumni of liberal arts colleges. Some I'm sure you recognize. And you have part of this is just you have people who have gone on to do great things in so many different fields, right? Politicians, diplomats, actors, business founders, presidents of companies, inventors, comedians. And of course, this is just a small cohort of successful liberal arts alumni, but just wanted to get that point home, right? That you can study at a liberal arts college and then go on to do really amazing things. And this is an interesting one for those who are interested in political science or kind of wanting to serve, to lead their country, lead a business, or just be active in society. 55% of world leaders have a liberal arts degree. So it's a great feeder program as well, or degree to get into a PhD, to pursue something else academically, but it's also great to get you into the workplace and to do great things publicly.
Yeah, and jumping to sort of obviously the financial planning and scholarships is an important part of the college application process, and having these conversations early can be an important part of your college search. But liberal arts colleges can have really generous merit and need-based scholarships. Obviously, each one has their own policies, but often you might hear or might see the sticker price of a liberal arts college might look like it's a lot, but you make sure you take a look at their financial aid policies. They might offer merit scholarships that really, it doesn't cost nearly as much as it looks, but also their need-based aid as well. Each college has their own policies, so make sure you do your research there. But there's a lot looking at return on investment and sort of the value of the college and what you'll get sort of after that experience as well. So it's definitely a push and pull process of figuring out what is the right financial fit for yourself as well, as looking at sort of the fit in terms of major interests, the community that fits you. But it is an important conversation to have.
Well said. And here's just kind of a summary of some of the benefits. We've talked about a lot of these, but the preparation, the introduction to career choices, right? Stepping stone if you want to further yourself to a different career, right? You can kind of move up the ladder. It's very appealing to employers because you have all these great personal, practical skills. It's a great foundation for graduate study. Again, if you want to pursue a master's degree, a PhD, and it just makes you a valuable member to the community. So there's really not a lot of negatives there.
Yeah. And I guess jumping off there in terms of the career choices as well, as you all have grown up, I'm sure technology has really taken off. And a lot of sort of the way that people are thinking about careers in the future is we often don't know what careers are even going to be available to you in the next 10, 15, 20 years. So a liberal arts education is a really great way. It's, again, teaching you how to think as much as sort of the skills in other ways as well. So thinking about how you can sort of take advantage of careers that don't even exist right now and continue to be a productive member of society, looking at things that you don't even know exist yet.
All right, and so just very briefly, just to kind of elucidate where Ryan and I live in our respective states. I live in Tennessee, very beautiful state. Capital is Nashville, which I'm sure some of you have heard of. Country music, right? We love music here. And this is a photo of the Smoky Mountains, again, which is in my part of the state. You're very close to this as a student. Here's the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the most visited national park in the US. You have camping, hiking, whitewater rafting, biking. This is all really in your backyard. So 20 to 30 minutes from Maryville College. We have trips there all the time. This is a really great place for therapeutic activities, recreational activities, and educational activities. And then we're also close. We're basically a suburb of Knoxville, which is the third largest city in Tennessee. And this is great for job placements, internship opportunities. And then, of course, if you want to have that kind of, metropolitan city area, you have shopping, you've got some great nightlife, sporting events, concerts, all of this. So really, Maryville is kind of the best of both worlds, where it's a small town right next to nature and right next to a big city. So you're kind of in between.
Yeah, it's definitely an awesome part of the world.
And then just very briefly, Maryville College, we talked about it, but here's a few statistics, right? Founded in 1819. I will say this, there's no application fee, which is great. So it's kind of like there's no downside to apply. All international students receive a scholarship of some kind that varies between $15,000, $26,000. There's one full tuition scholarship per year. And that is very competitive, of course, but you might be the perfect candidate. So give it a shot. And then we were ranked number 5 out of 147 in the most recent rankings for best colleges in the South. So we're very proud of that number. But that's Maryville College. And Ryan, let's hear about Dickinson.
Yeah, so thanks for that. Yeah, no, that's an awesome part of the world. So jumping up over to central Pennsylvania, Dickinson is located there in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is that red dot right there. And I think it's a really interesting part of the world. I think central Pennsylvania is a really diverse state, but central Pennsylvania is a really interesting place. Carlisle itself is a really safe town. It's a really cool town. It's a really odd, so it's a town of about 30,000 people, but we have an awesome sort of diverse community. So it's central Pennsylvania. We also have a lot of international people here. We have the Army War College, which is graduate school for mid-career Army officers, but they actually bring in 80 international military officers to live in town. So you have a really diverse community in that respect. We have a Pennsylvania State University's law school is in Carlisle, as well as Central Pennsylvania Youth Ballet. So if you're a ballerina, we have a nationally renowned youth ballet in town as well that we have a certificate program with. But it's a really nice town, a really cool town. And there's a lot of great things. That movie theater up there is one of my favorite places to go. They do Oscar movie runs and all those things, but the food in town is fantastic as well. So a lot of great options there. It's a little bit more about Dickinson. As Will said a bit earlier, we are a pretty old college in the United States. Obviously, in terms of other parts of the world, 1783 might not be too old, but we're the 16th oldest college physically in the United States, but we were founded 6 days after the United States was founded. So technically, we're the oldest college in the US of A. But we have an 8-to-1 student faculty ratio, average class size of 14 students, really that liberal arts feel. Big things for us are study abroad, sustainability, as you heard me talk a bit about earlier. But again, on that, really being engaged in looking at careers and getting internships and applied learning. And students are really successful after graduation. And so to a couple proof points there. Here's some examples of some of our recent, and we're about 14% international students. So we do have a significant international student population, but here's some examples of some of our recent graduates and what they've gone on to. I love to point out Soo-Min Kim, who was one of our Korean students, actually. She was Miss Korea in 2018, which is very fun. She majored in international business and also Chinese, but now she's at Columbia University in their School of Journalism, which is very cool. One of my good friends actually was Korean and went to Dickinson, and she is up at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute doing cancer research in Boston. So that's a very cool experience as well, but a lot of great opportunities in terms of the future. We do, in terms of our financial resources, we do meet full financial need for international students. A great resource for us if you want to learn more is to look up the Dickinson pre-application if you're a senior, and that's a short form, but it lets us know that you're interested, and you can find that on our website. But I would encourage you to look at us more.